Hey everyone, hope you can hear me all right. Welcome to my channel. My name is Nick, and I have decided recently to start a YouTube channel. It's something that I've wanted to do for several years and even started to do it last year while living in Sydney, Australia. And then just for a multitude of reasons, it didn't end up working out. So after hours and hours of watching people kind of make suggestions for starting something on YouTube, the main thing that basically everyone says is you just have to start. You just have to make the video, you just have to start filming the content, and you have to figure it out as you go. Over the last 10 years, I've traveled quite a bit. I lived in New Zealand for a year and a half. I just got done living in Australia. I've lived in California, working as a camp counselor, working as a hiking guide, working as an outdoor science school teacher. I've lived in Washington in the San Juan Islands as an ocean kayak guide. I moved to Colorado for grad school, studied and got my master's in engineering, and then I lived and worked in Denver for 2 years. So I've gotten to do quite a bit, and I'm really kind of grateful for the experiences that I've had. And basically, I found myself in this situation where every single time I come home and I see friends and family, everyone's like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to write a book, you need to, start doing stand-up comedy, you need to make a YouTube channel, something along those lines. And I think for a long time, I was just too embarrassed to do so. I didn't really want to put myself out there like that. I think I can kind of be a little bit of a sensitive person, to be totally honest. And so I just kind of rejected the idea of doing something like that. But I'm 32 years old, and one of the cool things about getting older is you care less and less about what other people think. And even though I still probably care way too much, this is something that I've wanted to do and I want to give it a shot. I'm working part-time remotely as an engineer right now, and I'm waiting for a visa to hopefully move back to Australia more full-time. And while I do that, I'm kind of living out of a van, living out of some friends' apartments, bouncing between Missouri and Denver. I might go back to Washington and see some friends and family that are out there. I lived in Asheville for a while. I think that documenting it is not only like a fun project for myself, but also potentially interesting for other people. The idea right now is that I'm going to give this the space to evolve into whatever it is gonna become. Like, maybe I do get more serious about wanting to do stand-up comedy. I've done a little bit of it in the past. I've enjoyed it, but I've never taken it very seriously. I've never done it consistently. So maybe it'll be pursuing that more often. I've been contemplating a career change, even though I went back and I got my master's and I've been working in this field of engineering. It isn't quite, I think, aligned with what I would like to do for the rest of my life. And so maybe this will end up being, documenting that process of figuring out what it is that I want to do and try to find something that's more aligned with me. It could be the process of figuring out what city I want to end up living in, or it could end up, turning into a full-blown travel vlog where I end up getting the opportunity to go and see a lot of other places. I have so many things that I want to see and do, and I've had a lot of really great experiences, and I almost feel like I've been like training for this. That might sound kind of strange. I think one of the things that I kind of like will pat myself on the back for, even when it hasn't worked out, is that I have really put myself out there and I have really tried to do the things and tried to do what I want and put myself out there, even though it's left me poor more times than I can count, and it's put me in weird and awkward situations. And now I'm 32 and I still can't figure out exactly where I want to be and what I want to do with my life. I don't really regret the decisions that I've made. I've really enjoyed getting to see and do the stuff that I have, and I want to share that. And I also want to share the real experience of it, because I know that there are many, many people out there who are doing a job that they probably hate, or at least don't like, and wish that they could do something different, and probably fantasize about moving abroad and everything else. And I don't want to create a fantasy around that. I don't want to say that I did that and it worked out and everything was perfect and sunshine and flowers and rainbows, because that's just not true. That's not the reality of the situation. It's never been the reality anywhere that I've moved. And I think a lot of things on social media, including my own account, it just highlights the best parts, right? It's like really easy to take a very beautiful sunset picture at the beach. And I think our brains are wired to see that and think that that is what is going on with the person, right? That must be what their life is like. And really, it just happened to be like a nice evening that you were at the beach. In reality, last year I was in Sydney and I moved there with the intent of working as an engineer and continuing my career. And I wasn't able to find a job working as an engineer, not on the visa that I was on. I didn't find much success in it. And after 3 months of looking, I ended up working at a restaurant. My visa actually only allowed me to work anywhere for 6 months at a time. So even though I ended up working at a restaurant and making friends at a place that I really enjoyed, I even had to leave that job after 6 months and do a different part-time, job at a different restaurant that I ended up hating. So I say that only because I'm not trying to create some sort of grandeur idea about what I've been up to. The idea of this YouTube channel is not to elevate what I've been up to. I think it's to highlight the reality of those choices. I don't know where I want to live. I don't know what I want to do as a career, and I have very little money. I have a wealth of experiences that I'm so grateful for, and I have a multitude of like friends and family. The point, do I want to seem like it is the answer, or that it necessarily will work for everyone? Like, maybe if after you hear some of these stories and see some of what I'm up to, you would realize that it might not be worth it. It's quite a big risk, and I'm not trying to scare anyone away from doing something that they don't want to do. The highs are so high and the lows can be pretty low. Just after coming back from Australia, I mean, I don't care that I was working at a restaurant. I don't care that I wasn't working as an engineer and I was living in a shared house. I had a better year than the previous 2 or 3. I was really enjoying myself. I was putting myself out there. I was doing the things that I always wanted to do that I was too embarrassed to try. And I just finally kind of let go and started enjoying things. I want to take that mentality and use it moving forward. One thing that I've noticed over the last, well, basically my whole life, but especially over the last 10 years, is communication and networking and people are that's actually my strongest skill set. I know that I am an engineer, but that doesn't come easy to me. I've gone to school for engineering twice now, and I will say that in basically both experiences, I didn't really relate to most of the people in my classes because I just felt so different from them. And I think ultimately that's because my skill set relies in people and building relationships, and not so much sitting behind a desk and crunching numbers, even though that is something that I can't do. So didn't understand why I was having a hard time doing my job before working as an engineer. I didn't understand why it was making me so depressed and why it was making me just so low energetically. Like, I just felt so low for such a long time, and why I could do something like work at a restaurant but be abroad and going out and experiencing the world and feeling so much consistently higher. And I think ultimately I want a little bit more stability than what I've had. I want to not be broke. I would like to be saving for my future. I'm not trying to be acting immaturely, but what I will say is the reason I would work a job like one as an engineer, for most people it would be to afford a house, to afford a family, to afford that sort of life. And I think that's a beautiful and wonderful thing. But as a 32-year-old who doesn't even have a partner at the moment, let alone working towards a family, the idea of saving up to buy a house just for the sake of owning a house, just for the sake of accumulating wealth, it just isn't an effective motivator for me. Like, that isn't going to be the thing that gets me up in the morning. And it wasn't. And I've tried multiple times. I worked as an engineer when I worked in New Zealand. And what I will tell you is that it was a better experience, but I was working fewer hours. I was working like 30 hours a week. And I had friends who were not working in the professional space. They were actually zipline instructors. And we spent most of our free time either backpacking or playing frisbee golf, or all eating out of the same tub of ice cream and playing Settlers of Catan. Like, those are the things that get me out of bed personally. And so it's really hard to convince myself to work in a career and go to a 9-to-5 desk job if all I'm gonna get is a few weeks off a year to go do the things that I really wanna do and go live the life that I really wanna live. Could be a career choice issue. It could be like what I've chosen to do isn't aligned with who I am as a person enough to make the 9-to-5 job work. So I think like option A is just trying a different career path and seeing if I can get a more traditional lifestyle to work using that. Alternatively, I think it is coming to terms with the idea that I don't want a traditional life anymore. You know, I grew up with a pretty small, very tight group of friends. I had a graduating class of like 89 people, and 60 of them I went to preschool with. I've known a lot of the same people my whole life. I have a big family. I have a really close family, and I really love them and love all of those experiences. But I don't think it's me. I don't think it's been me for a long time. I don't think it always was me, even when I was growing up. I think that there was a lot of, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this. I don't think it's exclusive to the gay experience, but as a gay man growing up in a very conservative part of the country, going to Catholic schools, being raised Catholic, and going to mass like 2 to 3 times a week on average, there was a lot of my life that wasn't my own, and that was like hidden and obstructed from myself. And it wasn't until I was 22 that I really left Missouri and left that bubble. You know, when I went off to college, I moved 2.5 hours away. Several people from my high school went there as well. A lot of my family lived in Kansas City. Like I didn't move that far, and it was a Jesuit college. So like I had a lot of great experiences, but I will say that I didn't find myself in the same way in college that a lot of other people will talk about. That's really come for me later in life. That's come for me since I've started traveling and since I've started doing some of this other stuff. And I feel like every time it doesn't work out, I keep saying, okay, it's not working out because you shouldn't be doing this. It's not working out because you should be closer to home and you should be doing this career that you've thought you were gonna do since you were 16. And now that I'm twice as old as that, the reality is it isn't me, it isn't what I want. And I think if I can shift the goal of, it's not buying a house, it's not finding a partner so that way you can raise kids and be close to home. If the goal shifts to being financially independent enough to go and do the things that I want to do and live that sort of life more often, then maybe I'll have a better chance of understanding what comes next. And I think I've gone kind of all over the place, to be totally honest, and I think that's just indicative of where my mind is at and where I'm at this stage in my life. Considering moving abroad, I'm considering changing careers, I'm considering just changing my entire framework for what it is that I'm going for. And I think I wouldn't use the word scary, but there's a lot of uncertainty that surrounds those kinds of decisions. And I'm, more than anything, just excited to see where it goes. I think that's the main thing, is that I'm excited to see what happens. I don't really know what'll end up becoming of this channel. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all of these disparate, thoughts and ideas into some sort of cohesive package. I don't know if it'll end up being something that'll actually be entertaining to watch, or if it'll be something that people even get enough out of to warrant doing. I don't even know that I'll want to keep doing it after doing it for a few months, but I think the only way I'll know is if I actually try. Thank you all so much for coming here and watching the video, especially if you made it to the end. Who knows how long this is going to be? I've been rambling forever. But thank you for any and all support. I would really appreciate it if you are interested in coming back, subscribing. I am posting alongside of this welcome to my channel video. I am going to post a couple of other videos. I'm going to do one story time and at least 1 week of the current day vlogging, so that you can kind of get an idea of what I'm thinking so far, and then we'll just see what comes from there. Like I said, I really do appreciate anyone who's made it this far, and please let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm excited to see what comes next. I'm excited to see kind of how this project unfolds, and I appreciate any of the support that I've gotten so far. And if you have any questions or comments for me, please write them down below. In the early days of this channel, I'm sure I will be replying to any sort of comments that end up down there. So thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you all next week. Bye.